YouTube. Bear with me because I'm doing this with my phone. A lot of people have asked about the little S10, the one with the big block in it. And I told people, I'd put together a build sheet. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, I'll just put it in a video. So if I jump around, I apologize right now. As far as the truck goes itself, the body's an 87, S10, Gen 1, S10, square body, Gen 1, whatever you decide you want to call it. Some people call it different things. I've always called them either square bodies or Gen 1s. The chassis is a 98. And the first thing I'll tell you is you can swap bodies and chassis on the trucks. The Blazers, I'm not sure about. But I know on the trucks, the only thing really different on the chassis from the early ones to the later ones is basically they boxed them back all the way to the front spring hanger for the rear springs. The Crossmember is different as far as it's a box tube and not like a flat piece of metal or oblong tube. And the front, where the bumpers bolts to it, that's different. That's it. Some of the early ones, like 82, 83, I think, were the only years where the front bumper mounts unbolted and come off. But you can do that on your own. So I'm going to start at the back of the truck and come to the front. Like I said, the chassis is a 98. The rear end is an 8.8 out of an Explorer. You want the rear end out of an Explorer. They are heavier. Not a Mustang, not a Fairmont, or whatever you happen to find an 8.8 under. You want it out of an Explorer. For an S10, you cut the long side down 3 inches, use a short side axle, they fit perfect. No, it's not a 9-inch, but you can beat the shit out of an 8-inch pretty good. I think a prime example, if you want to see someone putting an 8-inch forward to abuse, everybody knows a Mustang called Beater Bomb. I think he's still running an 8.8 under that car. As we move forward, the drive shaft. The drive shaft is a piece of chromoly tube. I had it made. It's got, I don't know what series the U-joints are. I'd have to look, but local truck parts company here in town that rebuilds rear ends and drive lines and all that built the drive shaft for me. I just had some contacts when I used to work on heavy equipment and trucks. Transmission is an M&M Turbo 350. Bulletproof, bomb-proof, whatever you want to call it. I've yet to see how well their transmissions work. It was a little pricey, but we'll see. It's got a 38-3900 stall converter in it. I also come from M&M with a B&M shifter. Just B&M Pro Stick, I think, is what I got in it. All the gauges in the truck. As far as the gauges, they're all quick car except for the tach and the fuel gauge, which are autometer. It's got a Marine 12-slot fuse box in it. Just toggle switches for everything with LED indicators, like for the water pump, the fans, and so on the dash. I put the fuse block on the outside of the dash so it's easy to get to. All the lighting's OEM for now. I basically just have headlights, tail lights, brake lights, no turn signals. I don't give a shit about turn signals. The paint, like I've told everybody, it's a ghetto paint job. Basically what it was, me and my boy sanded it down with 600, spot primed it, slicked it up. I threw some grabber green engine enamel on it, because that's what it had on it to start with. The top is Duplicolor Perfect Touch or whatever, GM Gunmetal Gray. And it's got 4 coats of Nason 497-00 spot clear over the whole truck. Now, moving up to the engine, which everybody's wanting to know about. The engine's a 1970 454 4-bolt main block. It's got a set of 820 Last three of the castings, 820, large oval port heads that had quite a bit of work done to them. So, it's all GM. Crank is a Callie's Magnum, which is probably the most expensive part in the whole damn truck. Callie's Compstar rods. It's got Moly forged pistons, total seal rings. It's all been balanced. I couldn't tell you the balancer is an SFI approved balancer, but I can't remember what brand it is off the top of my head, the harmonic balancer, because the motor, anybody knows 454s are not a neutral balance. SFI approved flywheel. All the valve trains comp. The cam's a 622 lift, intake and exhaust, 297 duration on the intake, 314 on the exhaust with a 107 lobe center. It is a hydraulic roller cam. The valves are Manley severe duty. Everything else in the valve train's comp. It's got the comp gold roller rockers, 3/8 push rods, the screw-in studs, the guide plates, all that's comp. Lifters, cam. It's got a Chloe's gear drive in it. Whether it's noisy or quiet, I don't know. It seems like to be in between. It's got a Proform electric 55 gallon an hour water pump. A Champion 28 by 18 core size, plus the tanks. 4 core, 4 rows of 5/8 tubes. Aluminum radiator with 2 14-inch spout puller fans. They're the biggest as far as CFM that I could find. I think they're $2,500 a piece, but the truck stays with a 180 stat. It stays at 180 on a 100-degree day. Carburetor's a 1050 CFM, quick fuel. Ignition's MSD Pro Billet distributor. It's got an MSD Street Fire box on it for right now. Taylor 10.4 millimeter wires. It's got NGK plugs in it. The headers now, let me readjust my phone here, my hand's getting tired. The headers, okay, they're eBay headers. They're stainless. It's the only eBay thing on the truck, so don't knock putting something eBay on the truck. I wasn't spending $1,200 for a set of plain steel headers. Okay, it's tubing and some plate steel with holes drilled in it. People charging these big ass money for these headers is ridiculous. So, here goes. I learned on my 4-wheel drive truck, and I knew that the passenger side header, Camaro header, would clear even being 2-wheel drive and no body lift or anything. So I put that on there. And then I used the tubular control arms that you buy at Speedway for a metric G-body car, and you use 2 left side or 2 8-inch, and I used them to get the clearance I needed. Okay, the passenger header is for a 67 up to whatever year they happen to fit Camaro. The driver's side header is just a generic block hugger header that I bought off of eBay. I made a video. It's got pictures of the headers because eBay, the sellers and item numbers, usually there's no item number or part number for these cheaper headers. I've used them before and had good luck with them not cracking, so I went with them again. But that's basically the headers. The engine mount, the engine side's a 9906 Transdat small block swap mount, and the frame side mount is a solid 2.8 frame mount that you can get from, I believe it's s10v8.com. Part store is where I bought mine at. I used to be a part of that website or group, or what it was he had a page where everybody could share stuff, and he closed it down, but he still got the part store. Kind of pissed me off, but hey, you know, what can you do? You know, if something takes up too much of your time, you got to get out of it. But it was a bad way that he closed it. So anyway, pretty much that's it. There's no inner fenders in the truck. The back's been lowered 4 inches. The front has got stock 2.2 4-banger springs in it. So you see with a 165 15 tire on the front of that truck, how much gap there is between the tire and the fender. It's massive. The truck has a slight uphill rake to it. When we set the engine in there, it didn't smash it down or anything like everybody said, oh, it's going to kill those 4-banger springs. On an S10 4-banger V6, it's the same spring. So when you go buy lowering parts for your S10 and they say whether you got a 4-cylinder or a V6, it don't make a damn bit of difference. It's the same damn spring. Let's see what else. I told you about the control arms. Control arms, it says use a tall ball joint on Speedway's website. You don't. Use a regular standard Moog ball joint for an S10 and it'll work just fine. You won't be able to lower your truck with springs in the front because the control arms will hit the headers. So if you want to lower it, you're going to have to use a 2-inch spindle and you're stuck, but that's all the further you can go down. Unless you want to use a different set of headers. I did mine cost effective. Now for the big thing everybody's asked, did I hack the crossmember out of the frame? No. I literally cut down about 1.5 inches into the crossmember and out the back of it. And I cut a little piece out. The whole bottom of the engine crossmember is still intact. All I did was lay some plate in it, plate it back in. I just took a little, kind of like a, how can I show you? Like an L-shaped piece out of the crossmember. That's all I did. And somewhere around here, if I don't find it right off the bat, I'm not going to sit and dwell on it. But here's an example. See that? That's a bumper mount off a different truck. But you see that? That's about all the more. Look at my finger. That's about all the more I cut out of the crossmember. About 1.5 inches, and then all the way out the back of it toward the back of the truck. I didn't cut the whole engine crossmember out. I just cut a portion of it out and plated it back in. And doing that, I've still got a 1/2 inch underneath the oil pan, and the engine's got a 6-quart truck pan on it. So 6 quarts is plenty of oil. Unless you're wanting to build some badass thing and go try to get on Street Outlaws. Okay? Horsepower. Somebody asked me how much horsepower the truck makes. I ain't never wanted to say it because I do plan on playing with it on the street, but at this point I don't care. The truck is just over the 600 horse mark. On motor, or I should say engine. Let's get that right. Everybody says motor. Motors are electric, engines run on fuel. That's what my dad always told me. So, oh, you got a stroker motor? No, you have a stroker engine. Okay, the engine is a 496 big block stroker. So, oh, and the intake. I forgot the intake manifold. Intake manifold is a Professional Products knockoff of an RPM air gap. I've had a Victor Jr. on it. I've had a 2.4 tunnel ram on that motor. And I've had the RPM air gap, and I went back to it because it still comes on hard on the big end, but it does better on the bottom end. And with the looser converter now, it works even better. Just because you got a cam that says it comes in at 2500 don't mean you got to go with a single plane intake. Okay? Now, the only single plane I've found that's worth a shit is the old Torker 2s where the carburetor sets real low. Because if you don't have the right intake signal to go with your cam and compression and all that, your engine, it ain't going to run right. So, but I'm not going to get into engine belting techniques and all that right there. But if you got any questions, the best thing to do, email me directly at backyardbuilttrucks. Put it all together, one word. And when you spell built and trucks, there's 2 T's in there. 2. One at the end of built and another one at the beginning of trucks. 1@gmail.com. Now that it's coming into fall, I'm slowing down on what I do. I do things on the side. I make motor mounts to fit weird shit for people. I do a little painting. I'm not as good as a lot of these professional guys, but I knew enough to get me by. So, the S10, I didn't want it looking pretty because it's going to get scratched, it's going to get nicked, it's going to get rubber slung up on the back of it and all that. I didn't want it super pretty. Now, if I wanted to wet sand it out and buff it, it'd probably look really good, but I'm not going to. It's got a couple sags in it. I'm leaving them right there. I don't care. I want it to look like, hint, backyard built truck, something that you and your son or grandfather and grandson, whatever, built in their backyard garage or under a tree in the backyard, which my first one I built under a tree with a piece of shit cable come along to swap the motors out in. That's the whole focus of what I do. It's not rat rod, it's not show car, it's a hot rod. It is a true small tire street truck. It's going to get a cage put in it this winter. I've got a 12-point cage sitting back here from Competition Engineering. It's all chromoly tube. It's going to get put in the truck. But right now my focus is this. Getting my wife's 69 El Camino finished. She can drive it for cold weather. I made her a promise. Her father is dying of cancer right now. He's in his last days, and we've already made trips to Illinois over it. So, and we got one more, God forbid, when he passes. So I've been occupied with that and trying to keep her calmed down. But if you got any questions on the truck, just email me. I'll send you the guy I got my headers from. It's Racing Innovations out of Olathe, Kansas. And I'm in Leavenworth, so I'm close. But, like I said, it took 2 sets of headers to make one set for that truck. But still, $300 is a lot cheaper than $1,200. So, and update on the S10. I took the Stennet valve covers off of it. I painted them gunmetal gray. I taped off the Stennet logo. I Scotch-Brighted them and then sanded them. Painted them, cleared them. We'll see. It's supposed to be clear that it's not going to turn under temperature. It shouldn't turn anyway. I've painted valve covers in the past, and I've never had them turn using just acrylic clear coat. Matter of fact, I'll show you what I use on most all car stuff. Is this cheap-ass $50 a gallon from Amazon. You get this and the activator. It's a 4-to-1 mix. It has a good sheen, comes out nice. It's like $55 for a gallon. Speed coat. And it's acrylic clear. It's pretty durable. I've used it to clear a lot of car stuff. So, other than that, can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But, oh, yeah. Cleared the valve covers. I painted the air cleaner and kind of scuffed the Summit logo on it so it kind of looked like it was dusted. Cleared it, put it back on, and I pulled 2 of my plug wire ends off, so I had to order a new set of plug wires. I'll just throw the others back for spares for it. We swapped plugs in it, changed oil in it. While I had the valve covers off, I checked rockers and made sure everything looked good on the inside. Other than that, that's it. It's going to go out and do a little... I'm going to take it down the street and make some passes in it without the cage in it. Just play around. I'm not going to get in it real hard. I put the wife in it the other day, and we took off and went down to the store to pick up a few things, and I laid into it, took off. First, second, third, kind of moderately got into it, and then all at once I got a wild hair and jerked it back in second, toenailed it, tires broke loose, and it just... I was up to, I guarantee, over 100, like in nothing flat, and it made her absolutely wet her pants. So, and I will admit, the truck is scary fast for what it is. It really is. The truck weighs 2,200 pounds without me in it. Actually, it weighs 1,987 pounds without me in it. And that's with 2 batteries in the bed and a 20-gallon fuel cell about 3/4 of the way full. But if you got any questions on the truck, to me, it's just another big block S10. I ain't done nothing different than 100 other people have done on YouTube. But I tried to keep it simple, cost effective, where anybody could do it without spending a ton of money and have a nice truck. Okay? That's it. And any of you guys that want to big block your trucks, your 7.5 will hold up for maybe 10 hard hits before you blow it out. I tore that one out on purpose. I want to see how long it lasts. and I tore the drive shaft out of the truck, which resulted in the chromoly shaft because it twisted the stock shaft back there and snapped the U-joint and put about a turn and a half twist in the back of the drive shaft. Later.